There are 4 basic steps to installing your drain IV system. Install the power converter, install the pump, install the IV bag, and install the injection option. Today we're going to be installing on our demo air handler. 2 sections of the air handler's panels were removed to make viewing the installation steps easier. I will use the magnet mount option for the pump and show you both injection and install options. As noted in housekeeping, you'll want to turn off power to the air handler. Being a stickler, I always double check with a non-contact voltage tester. Step 1. Installing the power converter. Remove the cover on the air handler's control box and locate the 24 volt AC supply. The 24 volt AC may be supplied by a transformer or, like in our example, are generated on the controller circuit board. Note that the onboard option either has an edge male spade connectors or a terminal block. On the 24 volt AC to 5 volt DC converter, there are 2 red wires. These wires are to be connected to the low side of the transformer for 24 volt AC onboard power. There are 4 included options in the hardware kit to make these connections: a T-tap male spade connectors, female spade connectors, spade terminal splitters, and simple wire nuts. Use the option and corresponding tools that works best for you. We use the T-tap spade connection option in our example. It's also the preferred option among our contractors. To install the T-tap spade connection, you simply place the T-tap connector's notch over the wire, fold the cover over, and use the pliers to squeeze the connector together until it locks. Next, using a red crimp tool option, crimp the male spade connector onto the converter's red wire. Then plug the male spade into the T-tap connector. A common mistake is that the male spade goes on either side of the T-tap slot, not in it. Visually confirm to make sure the spade is indeed in the slot, then repeat for the other side. When complete, it looks like this. In our example, we use the included self-tapping screws to mount the converter. Other options are to use double-sided tape or just leave the converter loose. Next, you want to feed the Type-C end of the cable through the control box's wire access port. There's typically more than enough room in the port's plastic or Romex connector. Only pull through what you need to reach the pump with a little margin. You can optionally tidy up the extra wire in the control box with a zip tie. At this point, the power converter is installed and you can reinstall the control box cover and turn the power back on. A note on the power draw. Our system pulls less than 1 amp or 4 volt amps when under load. Max load is when the battery is charging. Your system comes with the battery 70 to 80% charged. It would only take about 2 hours to fully charge. After battery is fully charged, power drops into the milliamps. Step 2. Installing the pump. First, you will want to find a suitable location to mount the pump and select one of the 4 mounting options, using the magnet mount, multi-use clip front or back facing, or just resting on the surface using the rubber feet. The magnet mount must be used on a metal surface with iron. The multi-use clip can be formed around a pipe or channeling, or can be screwed to a stud, joist, or rafter. As mentioned, the mag stop can be used if the magnet mount slides down the surface under load. In our example, we're going to cover our most popular option, the magnet mount. To install the magnet mount, insert the tapered screw through the side of the mount with the IV bag hooks, then tighten into the threaded side of the magnet. Next, line up the pump's top mount holes with the mount's upper arm with the display facing out. Use the included screws to secure the pump to the mount. Use caution not to over-tighten the screws. Then simply attach the mount to your metal surface and connect the USB-C connector to the pump's power port. Next, you'll want to install the 1/4-inch tubing on the pump's in-out ports. You'll always want to use clear tubing on the pump's in port. You will use clear tubing on the out port if you opt for the injection port on the 3/4-inch T on the drain, or the black UVC resistant tubing if you opt for injecting in the drip tray. Using pliers, place a spring clamp over the end of the selected tubing about 1 inch in. Using a firm grip on the pump, push the tubing over the barb until the end hits the barb's backplate. It is very important that you push the tubing straight onto the barb, not on an angle. Then use the pliers to move the spring clamp over the inside lip of the barb. Cut the tubing with margin to reach the IV bag on the in port and the selection injection point on the out port. Step 3. Installing the IV bag. Before opening the IV bag concentrate, please read the safety and handling instructions. Remove the cap from the IV bag and pour the entire contents of the IV bag concentrate into the IV bag. Then, while holding the IV bag by the neck, fill with tap water up to the bottom of the neck. You may have to rest the bag on a flat surface to get it to fully expand, then recheck the fill level. Next, hang the IV bag on the magnet mount hooks using the metal grommets. Before releasing the IV bag, test that the magnet mount is secure by adding a little downward pressure and make sure the magnet doesn't release or slide down the surface. If it releases, you'll need to use a different mounting option. If it slides, remove the paper on the back of the mag stop and firmly press and hold it against the surface for 30 seconds. Then secure the magnet mount in the cradle of the mag stop, preventing it from sliding. Note that the metal surface must be clean before installing the mag stop. To complete the IV bag install, the inlet port must be installed in the bag. Select the tubing connected to the pump's in port and measure how much is needed and cut with scissors. A rule of thumb is to loosely route the tubing to the top of the IV bag, then add about 10 inches. Then route the 10 inches of tubing through the grommet in the top of the IV bag's cap. Note that as the IV bag is emptied, the bag elongates. That's why we use 10 inches of tubing under the cap. Next, you want to slide the weighted filter onto the end of the tubing. Make sure the end of the tubing is inserted into the filter's opening until it hits the stop. Then guide the weighted filter and tubing into the IV bag and secure the top. When complete, it looks like this. Step 4, installing the injection option. There are 2 install methods on where to inject our agent. Directly into the condensate drip tray or into the drain's 3/4 inch T-port just outside the air handler. In our demo unit, I have both options installed and I use a T to feed both. Typically, we will use one of these 2 options. Some of our contractors want to inject into the drip tray and others prefer to inject into the drain line T. So we provide hardware for both. If you're wondering, most of our contractors prefer to use the injection port in T. We'll cover the drip tray install option first. Using the tubing connecting to the pump's out port, route the tubing into the air handler's drip tray. If existing access is not available, use a 3/8 drill bit and install the included UVC resistant grommet in the hole. Then route the tubing through the grommet into the drip tray area. Depending on the drip tray, you'll need either one or more of our new drip tray clamps. Single trays will use 1 clamp installed at the highest point of the tray's slope. U-shaped trays will use 2 clamps positioned at each side of the top of the U with a T. We include 3 clamps and 2 T's to cover most drip tray configurations. Our clamp is comprised of 2 parts, the clip and the arm. To install the arm, position the arm perpendicular to the clip's long edge on the opposite side of the clip's pin mount. Slide the arm's pin into the pin mount, then rotate the arm so that the arm's locking ring is under the clip's lock. This prevents the arm from accidentally coming out during operation. Always install the clamp onto the drip tray edge with the clip's pin tray mount on the outside of the drip tray. To install, slide the 1/4 inch black UVC resistant tubing through the top of the clamp's arm port and slide the clamp over the edge of the drip tray. Rotate the arm to the optimal position for your install and slide enough tubing into the arm port to reach the bottom of the drip tray. If 2 or more drip tray clamps are used, use the included keys and spring clamps to install. In our example, we have a U-shaped drip tray using 2 clamps and 1 T. I made the clamps white to make seeing the install easier. I placed the clamps so that the tubing will reach the highest point in the tray. You can use the included adhesive cable relief clamps to tidy up the tubing and prevent kinking. To install using the injection port on the 3/4 inch T outside the air handler, remove the cap on the 3/4 inch T and install the clear injection port. If your T doesn't exist, please install one. Using the tubing connected to the pump's out port, route the tubing to the injection port loosely and cut with scissors. Insert the end into the silicone connection on top of the injection port about 1 inch. Using the adhesive cable relief clamps, tidy up the tubing to prevent kinking. To complete the install, you must turn on the pump and prime the system. To turn on the pump, press and hold the center button for about 3 to 4 seconds. Note the same sequence is used to turn the pump off. The display will show the default 30 milliliters for the dose or how much, and 2D or 2 days for the time or how often. The default setting will cover 99% of your residential installs. If you selected to inject into the drip tray and you use more than one drip tray clamp, it is recommended to change the setting to 60 milliliters every 4 days. The display will be active as long as the pump is on and power is applied. If the display turns off after 20 seconds of button press inactivity, check that the 24 volt AC to 5 volt DC converter is properly installed and power is back on the air handler. To prime the pump, double press the test button and the pump will run the programmed dose. In the default case, 30 milliliters or 1/8 of a cup. Repeat until the tubing is full of liquid. Note that the default setting will use about 2 cups a month. If you have any questions, please visit our fax page. You can also contact us at info@drainiv.com or through our website's Contact Us page. We value our contractor partners and we are available for technical assistance or in-house training anywhere in the United States. Thank you for installing Drain IV.